G'day legends, James Greenfield from Emergent Leaders Foundation here. In a lot of my sessions lately with people, what I've found is death is playing a prominent part in the subjects that they realistically are dealing with. Quite regularly, it's not on the surface, but they'll be feeling a holding on to something and a fear of letting go. And realistically, when we fear letting go, we're fearing an aspect of death itself. And it's been really quite fascinating because, if you look at it, what happens is the fear is a self-perpetuating prophecy. That which we fear, we put energy into, and therefore we actually generate and attract that or some form of that situation into our life. So one of the art forms of life is actually becoming really accustomed to death. I often ask people, what is the opposite of death? And the first answer most people will say is life. It's not correct. Birth is the opposite of death, and matter of fact, birth is the only victor from death. But for birth to occur, there has to be some form of death. You look at it into a relationship when the firstborn child comes in, there is a death to an aspect of the relationship between the couple, because now you are birthing a family. Even when a second, third, fourth, whatever, doesn't matter. It just there's a death to the way reality was. And so in that death process, death is calling us to grieve if necessary. And grieving is simply a process to allow the emotions to flow through us, whatever those emotions are. They might be betrayal, they might be sadness, they might be resentment, they might be anger, fear, whatever it is, shame, guilt. All these different emotions might actually go through us. And grief is a process that allows us to move those emotions so that we can actually understand what the lesson was from the past, from that connection or relationship to the thing we are now perceiving as losing, but is now evolving into a new form of relationship. So grief is calling us to really learn the lesson of that relationship and understand the beauty and the important aspects from it, so that they can now be birthed afresh and new into a new area of our life, to a new aspect of our life. It's like if you're moving on for a career, there's a death. It's something like, 17 years an army officer, and I had to realise in letting that part of me die, what the real essence of the importance of me being involved in my life, so that I could bring that forward and reform it and give birth to a new stage of my life. And if you do that, you don't go through transition, you actually go through migration. You go through this natural process of evolvement and evolving into something new. And so it's really, really important to actually get used to death. Now, given the work that I do and the subject of not only post-traumatic stress and depression, it's just an aspect of what I do, but even in the leadership work that I do, it was fascinating to be in a leadership workshop the other day, and I was astounded at the lower level of mental health in the people that everyone has decided is normal, that is natural, and that is not the case at all. It's like really, really fascinating. So I see a lot, in the work that I do, both leadership and stuff with individual people, just working through issues in life. The thing that I've noticed most, though, is the ones that really grasp the concept of death and allowing death to come on, actually, they evolve quicker. Now, yeah, I've had a lot of death in my life. Lots of people that I've known that could have asked for my help have passed on by their own hand. And how do I feel about that? I just send love to them. Is it bad? Is it wrong? No, it's not. That's a judgment. That's a judgment of someone that most people who judge don't actually find themselves ever in the predicament, which I have, like deciding that I was going to take my own life and then all of a sudden being stumped out of it. So, that moment in time is such a fascinating place to be in, that please don't judge a person who's gone through that, because they are going through whatever they're going through. And for us to even try and understand, even when you've been in it, like I have, I still believe that I can't understand truly what another person is going through in that moment. So my heart is simply open to them and supports them. Now, Carl Jung, the amazing Swiss psychologist, said exactly the same thing. If a person comes to him and says, it is my intention to commit suicide, he turns to them and says, if that is your intention, I will not stop you. And the gift that is really doing is You're acknowledging a person's sovereignty. You're acknowledging that a person actually has choice in life. And fascinating enough, the conversations that I have with people, which is that exact thing, like calling a person to say, if you want to die, if you want to take your life, then that is your choice. I'm not going to stop you. Just know I will love you. Fascinating thing is most of them don't. Most of them actually, in like feeling like they're given permission, choose life, choose to live, not choose to go. So when we really approach death in a way in which is free from intention, so free from judgment, is free from expectation, assumption, is free from fear, we all of a sudden give life to something which is really quite miraculous. So allow yourself to be free. Be free from death in a way where you can allow it to come and be part of your life and not judge it. And actually grow to understand it more deeply and the gifts that it's actually presenting for us. The girls laughed the other day around the dinner table how many times the Grim Reaper and I have met, and we stopped counting at about 14. I've pushed the limits of life in my life, and the Grim Reaper doesn't really talk that much. But the thing about that is, like, I now, it's not that I laugh in the face of death. That's not what it's all about. But I've come to this place in my life where if I pass tomorrow, I'm happy. And I know my two daughters have life. And I know my amazing partner in the world, she doesn't need me. No one needs me anymore. I'm just so grateful that they want me in their life. Now that allows me and frees me to do what I'm meant to do on the planet. And to live the fullness of life that I'm meant to do on the planet. Free from expectation of others. I become ruled by expectations of others when I make myself the center of the universe. I can free myself from the expectation of others when I make myself the center of my universe. And I just focus on that one thing, center of my universe, control my thoughts, my words, my deeds, and set my standard to the level I want it so that I can ensure that I do that as best I possibly can. So don't fear death. Embrace it. Embrace it maturely. Allow the grieving process to come with it. Learn the lesson that the whole episode and situation is presenting to you so that you can give birth to something truly amazing. Love you. Bye.